Silence. Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Authors Just Talk About, wherein a whole bunch of authors just talk about stuff. And I am your host, Edie Skye / HP Holo, and today we are going to be talking about author networking. I believe we had a very fancy title this time around of Author Group Chats. Friendship and networking in the 21st century. It sounds so professional.
It does. It's like we know what we're doing.
Yes, we can pretend for an hour. All right. So as I said, I am Edie Skye, HP Holo. I am going to go down the line and let all of my panelists introduce each other. Tell me who you are, where we can find your stuff, what your latest project is, anything you want us to know. So we'll start with Shami because you're right next to me.
Whoa. Well, I'm Shami Stovall, Shami like the car cloth. I write science fiction and fantasy. I think my latest release is a co-author project that comes out June 5th. It's my Crown Tournament 2, which I really love tournament arcs in anything, in books, in anime, in a movie, anything that involves a tournament, a game in which you win things and win prizes. I'm there for. My co-author, Ryan Tang, also super duper into that. We bonded over Yu-Gi-Oh! because we're hardcore nerds. Yes. So this has been a really fun project to co-write together. Can't wait for this. My other project that's coming out that's just me, not anybody else, is my Time Marked Warlock, which is like a urban fantasy.
Nice.
And that'll come out in August. I'm excited for it. I can't wait. What? Let's go. But that's it. That's all for me.
Paige. I don't know who's next to her on your screen. Is it me? Because it's me on my screen, but I didn't know.
You. Okay. So I'll call on whoever's next. Hey, already. So we got Charlie and Courtney and Leah.
Hi, everybody.
Leah wasn't up there. I kind of went through everybody really fast. So
we're excited to see you.
Yes, we're excited to see everybody, and thank you for dropping in and watching us. All right, Kacey, it's your turn.
I'm Kacey Ezell. I write science fiction and fantasy and noir and alternate history. My latest release is The King's Daughter. It's right here. It's the sequel to The Queen's Fixer, which is right here. And the third book in this trilogy will be coming out on the 31st of this month, so like in a week. And that is The Conqueror's Promise. So that's my space opera trilogy. With the second two books I co-wrote with Chris Kennedy of Chris Kennedy Publishing, and I'm very excited about them all. I love this series, and if you haven't read it, you should definitely go check it out. So
yes, go check it out.
They're so
Excellent.
good.
All right, Melissa.
Hey, I'm Marisa Wolf. I write sci-fi and fantasy with a little bit of romance, or a lot, because I write what I like to read. My latest release was my 4A2 novel, Companions in Chains, which was a Depic companion novel, and it featured my favorite dropship pilot, Ducky. If you haven't read it, go get it. It's awesome. There may or may not be vibrating rubber ducks. You'll have to just find out for yourself.
I need context.
You need context? Nope. The only context I will give you is that fighter pilots and dropship pilots are also ridiculous, and they like to play practical jokes on each other. So
yes, that's my kind of book right there.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun with that one. And right now I am charging ahead, pun intended, with the fourth Blooded Armor book with Casey Moores, who you're going to be talking to on Saturday.
Yes.
Oh, that's fun.
Yes. We are like this close to the end, so I'm very excited.
We have a question for you, Melissa, from Jeremy. Is it a smut book?
Is it a smut book?
Is it a kissing book?
I mean, it's got planes and vibrating ducks.
I mean, it's the 4A2, so I had to keep it clean, more or less.
Ish.
But the vibrating rubber ducks are exactly what you think they are when you hear the term vibrating rubber ducks. So you're welcome.
I'm not sorry.
Honestly, I'm going to read it just for the rubber ducks now.
Right? Rightly so.
Please tell me what you think.
Yes.
Come for the vibrating rubber ducks. Stay for the mindfuckery.
That's what she said.
I love you.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right, HY.
Hey, I'm Haley, H.Y. Gregor. My most recent thing that I have released came out at Fantasy. It was the Paladins of Valor anthology. And that one is extra exciting because the short story that I have in that one I co-wrote with David Shadoin, and it is sort of an origin story for the main character in the trilogy that I'm currently writing. So I'm working on a Malaysian Accords spinoff for John Osborne. It's a trilogy. And so if you want to read Paladins, go check that out. You'll meet Ryan, who is having a really hard time with everything in his life. And it just continues to get worse after that. So
I'm in that one too. So you guys, there's 2
Yeah,
ways
she
to
is.
read it. Yes.
Very good. Yeah.
It's a great anthology. All right, Marisa.
Hi, I am Marisa Wolf. I also write the nerdery because I also love the nerdery. My most recent nerdery is urban fantasy. It is The Spider, which is with William Allen Webb, who is also in the chat because he heard there'd be refreshments because I like him. So hi, Bill. So The Spider also is the kickoff of the Valkyries Initiative, which you can further explore in its re-release. The anthology comes out tomorrow, the Valkyries Initiative. And there's a story by me, there's a story by Kacey, a story by Melissa. And it's basically, it's urban fantasy, it's badass chicks, where the goal of all of the authors that they exceeded was, please don't make it strong female character. Please give me actual characters who are freaking awesome, and they all delivered. So 15 amazing stories await you tomorrow.
and who else
Also,
is in that one?
I'm a
Because
liar.
Who's a liar?
I'm a liar.
Oh,
I forgot to mention something. Yeah, my latest release is not The King's Daughter. I've had like 4 releases very quickly, you guys. So my latest release.
Problems.
Yeah. Well, to be clear, I didn't have any novels released for a while before that. But my latest release is a 42 book. It is Companion to Ghosts, that co-written with David Shadoin, who is awesome and a phenomenal co-writer. And Haley, you're gonna have a really good time writing with him. So
I have already. It's been great. We're gonna do standalone soon, and it's gonna be awesome. So
yeah,
nice.
my light is like giving me grief over here, but
Amen.
You've
You're
been
fine.
struggling with the lighting the entire
It looks
time.
dramatic.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. It doesn't look bad.
Yes.
it's turned
drama.
off.
There we go.
So.
It occurs to me that I actually forgot to talk about what I write, so I should
Yeah.
probably do that.
Yeah.
So I
Important.
write fun fantasy adventure as HP Holo. It's fairly clean-ish adventure as Edie Skye. It is not. My most latest release, though, my latest release is actually a collaboration with myself. So my latest release is Monster Girl Tamer. Come on, show up. And it is a smutty book, so it's on my Edie Skye pen name, but a bunch of my readers were asking for a Monster Girl book, and I was like, you know what? I wrote a whole monster-themed universe over on my HP Holo pen name, and so it is set inside the Monster Punk Horizon universe, and so I just put both names on it to connect it and make it clearer that it was set in the same series. So it's like
I love
Monster
it.
Girls doing sexy things. That's my latest book.
Love it.
But anyway, now
It is a smut book, Jeremy. A smut
it
book.
is.
You're
It is.
Oh
a
my
smut
God.
book.
That
Yeah.
one is,
Where's your smut?
What's the spice level? You need to use emojis, little chilly emojis from
There's
1
a
to
lot of
5.
chili. There's at least 3 spicy scenes in it.
At least
But
But they're
3
not
chilies.
crazy. That's other books, but
Amazing.
oh my gosh, we're already having fun. All right, so at some point, I suppose we should actually talk about the topic. And the fun thing about this is usually I open these by saying, oh, here's the fun, weird experience that led to the creation of this specific topic. And it occurred to me that the topic for this one actually came out of our author group chat. So it's a very relevant topic. And so today, I think the thing that brought it up is there's, for me, I recently ran an author marketing podcast, and one of the things that occurred to me about my author marketing history and success is that my career didn't really take off until I started networking with other authors, and they started sharing my stuff, and they started thinking I was cool and whatnot. And there's a direct correlation between me becoming a bestseller and suddenly figuring out how to network with authors.
Mhm.
But also, authors are cool to hang out with, and it's important for authors to know how to network, both for the professional side and also because it's good to know other authors. And so today we are going to talk about the ins and outs of author networking, how we go about it, from the very beginning to its professional benefits and its friendship benefits and stuff like that. And so my first question to you guys is going to be, when you first started, like when you were a little tiny baby author, how did you go about meeting other authors? And let's see, who wants to start with that? We'll go with.
I am a baby author. I think I'm the newest here, so I'll speak first if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
I've got one book published. I've got a handful and a half of short stories. I'm working on a trilogy now, which has been awesome. But compared to some of your guys' history, I'm fairly new to the industry. And it's the same thing for me. I did not start making progress or publishing things until I started meeting all of you incredible people and then some, right? So I think that was critical, because otherwise I was basically just kind of writing in a vacuum, which was great. I learned a lot. And I attended some craft conferences, which were really helpful, but it wasn't until I started attending business conferences and like fan cons that I started to make connections that were helpful and meet people who were like-minded in writing what I was writing. So.
Yeah.
How about Marisa?
Yeah. So I have a publishing career because of author networking. So this chick right above me here, Kacey Ezell, I wrote fan fiction with her for a long time. I don't know that we do that time, but a long
Spicy?
time. No,
It was.
I mean, there was some.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Waiting for Jeremy to go purd porn in the
I
comments.
know. I'm
Porn.
sure. Yeah, we'll see if he comes up.
I'm waiting for it to show up.
Right?
Come on, Jeremy. You have a reputation to uphold.
I know.
So.
He's like, yeah,
We can honestly do a panel about fan fiction, like specifically.
There it is.
There it is.
That's another panel.
So to Courtney's point, friends with benefits. So in a networking way, not in a spicy way. So I was writing with Kacey for a long time. Kacey decided and put her formidable will towards getting published and did, and then dragged me along with her, which was pretty awesome. So I have said this before, and I will like trumpet it to the mountaintops, but writing has not been lonely for me ever. It's always been about the people that I've gotten to surround myself with. And so started with Kacey and grew from there. And I don't know how it gets even awesomer. Like that was a pretty high bar to start with. But the more awesome folks I meet, I feel like just the better my career gets and the better I get. So
let's go to Kacey since.
Yeah, so I love that you think that I created this career out of whole cloth, when the truth is I also came to it through my friendships. So my story, like I said, I had written with Marisa, sort of at the amateur fan fiction level for years and years, and other people besides Marisa, which. Again, I don't want to digress this into a different topic, but I did find that actually to be somewhat of a valuable learning environment for certain things. Coupling that with my academic background, which is in English and creative writing, I had an interest in that. And I also am a big nerd, and I'm a real big fan of Dragon Con. I'm a nerd. I like to party. I like to party with other nerds. And so I would go to Dragon Con every year. And there is a long version of this story that is very funny and very cute, and then there's the shorter version, which I will tell you now. But long story short, I was small and cute and 20 and wearing a short skirt, and I met John Ringo, and John Ringo appreciated those things about me, and then appreciated them even more about me when he learned that I was a military helicopter pilot, because he's a military sci-fi author and had been writing about helicopters, and was like, well, I need to talk to you. And I was like, okay, cool, let's talk. And we exchanged emails and became friends. And then through the course of our friendship and our correspondence, he learned that I wrote, and that, I did have that academic background and whatnot. And that I was not necessarily like that. I didn't necessarily tell him, hey, I want to publish a book. He just knew that I was interested in it. And so when I was deployed to Iraq in 2000, I think he hit me up at the very end of 2009. So I was there from June of 2009 to June of 2010. He hit me up to give him a story for an anthology that he was publishing for Bain Books called Citizens, which was military science fiction written by military veterans. And you are so right, Mr. Anthony Wheeler, or person Anthony Wheeler. I don't mean to assume anything. But yes, Helo pilots are in fact the best pilots. Thank you so much for noticing that. Yes. But anyway, so I was deployed, and when you're deployed, you kind of hoard things to do. And John sent me an email saying, hey, can you write a story for me? And I was like, yeah, absolutely I can. Here you go. And so I wrote him a story, and that was my first. That was my first foray. That was my first pro sale. My first foray into professional publishing, and so my career also built off of a friendship that I made at a fan convention. So.
How about Melissa? Where did HY go? She vanished. Is she still?
Yeah.
Camera.
The lighting, it just got dark.
It's so dramatic.
Her camera may have died.
Oh my goodness.
All right, while she's working out stuff, Melissa.
Yeah, we'll get her back.
So very similar story. I definitely did not get where I'm at without making friends. One of my oldest friends, in fact, the oldest friend that I regularly talk to is my current co-author, Kacey Moores. We were stationed at Moody Air Force Base together, and that's how I met Kacey Ezell, and that's how I met John Ringo and all these people at DragonCon. It was great. But we kind of fell out of touch, as you do when you move around all the time. And out of the blue, Kacey emailed me. He's like, hey, can you read this short story for him? I'm like, yeah, awesome. And then I gave him feedback. A few months later, he's like, hey, Chris Kennedy Publishing has this open call. You should submit a story. It's due in 3 weeks. So, I'm like, okay, cool. Rage. Totally got this shit.
Rage.
And ended up getting 2 short stories published with CKP, and then got I was a finalist for the fantasy contest. Ended up going to Fantasy my first year. This was like, we're not doing time math. It was a few years ago. And I got to be on my very first panel, and it was with Marisa Wolf. So I met more awesome people, and Ian Malone. It was just a great time. I got to hang out with Boy Casey and his beautiful wife, Cassie, who was one of my best friends. Mm-hmm. And I just kept going to these cons, and I kept making more friends. I wasn't deliberately trying to network to advance my career. I just love hanging out with my fellow nerds. And it's when you're genuine like that, I think it's helpful. Like when you're actually being yourself and hanging out with the people that you love, it's fun. Writing has never been lonely, like Marisa said. It's always been like the best thing ever. I will die on this hill. It will be fun.
But no dying though. So
no actual dying because I have way too many books to write.
Accurate.
Shami.
Oof, that's weird to follow because I feel like I'm the only one here that didn't do a bunch of networking when I was a baby author, and it was very lonely. You're like, it's never lonely.
You're fine.
Oh, it's pretty lonely.
You're part of part of this conversation.
Yeah. Well, I think you're more in the majority. We just got lucky.
Yeah. I didn't meet author friends until way later in my career. And as a matter of fact, I would say it was almost the opposite. It was difficult to be friends with any authors. Not that I want to be like, it's me, guys. It's not other authors.
No,
it's me. I'm just an awkward person. But I started writing when I was in law school. And if you look at any sort of traditional way to get published, they're always like, well, you need to get an agent. You need to submit to publishers, you need to put out query letters and all this other kind of bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And so hundreds of query letters later, which are all just no's, if you count that as marketing, I guess networking. Networking, but I was, that's not networking. It's also depressing. But then I finally got an agent and I'm like, whoa, I did it. But, nobody cares. And then I submitted to several publishers who also said no. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not one of the cool kids. And then I self-published a lot of my stuff. And they won awards. It was great, but it was mostly lonely and in a vacuum up until I started going to conventions and speaking with some authors in my category. I think in the beginning, too, technically I went to writing conventions where they're trying to help you with the craft of writing. But most of the people I met there were writing either literary fiction or not fantasy, romance. And I don't write romance or literary fiction, so I had very little to talk with people about. And then I always felt awkward too, because they would ask me about, have you read X book? And I'm like, nope. I read Dragon Riders of Pern, and I like the Dritz books. And people are like, well, the Dritz books are terrible. And I was like, oh.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to just roll into a ditch. I'll be right here if you need me. that kind of like not attitude. Because again, this is probably me. If I was a little bit more charismatic, this probably wouldn't have happened. But I was like, wow, I
Find
feel.
you very charismatic, Shami.
Yeah, same, Shami.
I was just like, okay, I'm gonna be here in the corner, learning how to write. I guess learning what a paragraph is. And,
As a law school student,
Right, yeah, right?
Because you don't do any writing in law school at all.
Oh man, so much reading in law school. You gotta read like 500 fucking pages a night. You better be ready for that. But yeah, so I did that. I felt very lonely. It wasn't until later. It wasn't until I got successes in my career that I felt like I was networking. I think I met most of you guys like a year ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I was already into my career at that point. But I was like, oh, thank God, whew, there's some other authors I can talk to.
You're stuck with us now.
Yeah. Whoa. And then you guys invited me to like a Facebook chat, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't completely fuck up meeting them. They invited me to a chat. Yeah.
Have we really only known each other a year? It feels longer than that.
This is why we don't do time math.
We don't do time math.
I don't think it's been very long.
No, because Shami and Melissa were both finalists for the Bain Fantasy Award. That was
last year.
Yeah, last year. And I will never forget this because that was the whole like, let's not tell Melissa what the secret was. But we had to get her to DragonCon. We couldn't tell her why.
Well, that's how I met Shami, was on a DragonCon panel, and it might have been, I don't know, like 2 years ago.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't think I've known you guys for very long. No. I mean, you guys are all cool, and I'm glad we all know each other, and we're gonna be friends for life. But we haven't known each other very long.
No, I'm glad you
everybody else
accepted this
like,
about
wow,
us, because you're never getting rid of us. Shami.
Yeah, right.
Never.
It's important.
Well, I'm glad I have a network now, but I would not have said I had a network 3 years ago. I would have been like, it's just me. Just here. I'm the lamp in the corner.
Okay, love it. But the noir lamp. So
yeah, the noir lamp.
Yeah,
that's why I'm black and white. It's
right.
blends to the background.
That's funny. Now I feel like the guy from Anchorman who's like, I love lamp. Because we do. You're awesome, Shami.
That's great. That's a fantastic reference.
You're centered. Like, we're all cool, but you're extra cool. Oh no, did we lose HY? She's gone.
She's probably restarting maybe to come back in.
Oh yeah, hopefully.
We will talk some more and then come back to her, and hopefully she resurfaces. Oh, I guess I need to answer the question too.
Yeah.
Give us more time.
You're not just the moderator.
I keep forgetting to answer my own questions, and I'm the host. Good Lord. Okay, so
great.
my journey into author networking was actually somewhat similar to yours, Shami, in that I don't feel like I started until later in my career, and that's primarily because when Jacob and I first started self-publishing, we went to little cons and chatted with other authors, and we were told, oh, you need to do more cons. And when we were so inexperienced at that time that when we heard do more cons, we thought that get more tables at cons was what was meant. And so we would get tables in artist alleys and dealers' rooms, which is great for selling books, but you're also stuck behind a table. And we did that for years. And so that's that kind of it didn't really leave us a lot of room to network. And then there came a point where there's this was kind of happening in the background too, where Jacob started writing with David Weber. And that was a funny author networking story in and of itself, because it was strange how it happened. We basically I was bored after surgery and was like, Jacob, there's this con nearby and it's 20 minutes away, and I really want to get out of this house. You're taking me to this con. And he said no. But then I told him David Weber was signing at this con. And so he got a book, went to get it signed, and David wasn't there yet, but the fan club was there. And the fan club said, oh, you're writers? You should go talk to David's wife. And we're little bitty authors with 2 books out at this point. And we're like, no, we don't need to disturb David Weber's wife. And long story short, this was how we found out that this particular community was very, very friendly and very, very outgoing. And we chatted with Sharon Rice Weber. Oh, HY's back.
Yay!
There you are. Yeah, I'm going to put you back in your original spot because it's going to confuse me if you don't.
Fair,
if you're not
yeah.
there. All right.
Where you belong.
And so Sharon talked with us for an hour and then said, hey, if you buy David lunch, he'll talk your ear off. And so we bought David lunch. No, we went to lunch with David. He chatted for 4 hours and then enjoyed it so much that he bought us lunch. And long story short, we became buddies and a collaboration happened. Now, once David was collaborating with Jacob, we decided to start focusing less on tables because other like book dealers at the cons would be carrying their collaborations. We focused less on tables and more on panels. And that freed up a lot of time for us to just go hang out with other authors and whether on the panel or off the panel. And for us, going to small cons was excellent for that. And really it's conventions that were absolutely key for me. For author networking. Like you can network online with authors you don't know, but there's something about author Facebook groups they're useful, but they're also very impersonal. And let's be real, they're often in a panic because a lot of people in them are new authors who have no idea what they're doing, but are also trying to give each other advice. And they can sometimes be like, sometimes I see these comments and I'm like, I know you're trying to help, but bless you.
Yeah.
And so like online groups like that are of varying usefulness, but the author networking that I've done at cons has been tremendous. And so for all of the wannabe authors or the new authors watching, go to conventions. Do you guys have opinions about small conventions versus large conventions for networking? Because
yes, I do.
Oh, yeah. I'll just say my answer first and get it out of the way.
Just say yours first.
Small cons because they're slower paced. Like when I'm at Dragon Con, for example, I'm rushing everywhere and I might network a little bit, but I'm always rushing to get somewhere so fast. Oh no, she's gone again.
I know. Like
she's popping in and out. Yeah.
Whenever HY comes back, we're just gonna let her answer whatever question is happening.
That's right, whatever she wants.
She's gonna hate that.
But there you are. Okay.
You summoned her with the power of spite.
Go ahead and answer before your camera cuts out. Do you like small cons or large cons?
We can't hear you.
Oh, no.
She's gone again. Okay, large cons for me are just too busy for effective networking compared to smaller cons. And so, what do you guys think about the subject?
So I, much like all of my career, I like to have a foot in both worlds, right? I go to Dragon Con. If I'm perfectly honest, I go to Dragon Con because I love Dragon Con, because I love the party and it's a great time. And going as a pro allows me to have fun doing panels and get my ticket comped. It's really what it comes down to, right? So, but I am able to do a lot of networking at Dragon Con because I am on panels and I do a fair amount of networking there, but it is difficult to get on panels at Dragon Con as a new author. In order to be considered even considered to be an attending pro, you have to have 5 novels out. And just having 5 novels is not a guarantee either. There's like a lot of other factors that go into it because so many people want to go. So that being said, I do think that larger cons have the appeal of bringing more people from farther away. So it's easier to network outside of like your immediate geographic area at a larger con. I think that's been my experience anyway. That, however, it is far more comfortable to network at a smaller con because they're not as busy. Like you said, the sort of bar con is much more concentrated and if you're not familiar with the term bar con, that's what we call it when there aren't official, we can hear you. There aren't things going on. Or we could, now we can.
I heard that like snapping, but not your voice.
Not the voice.
Just snap in Morse code.
I am so sorry.
You're here.
Yeah.
We got you. All
the
right.
camera just torpedoed itself. I apologize.
It happens. You're fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Small cons or large cons is the question before the group, Haley.
Yeah.
I have only been to one large con. and I had no brain at the time. So I don't know. I don't know that I can adequately answer that question. I went to Dragon Con last year for the first time, and I had just finished packing up my house to sell like 2 days before I got on the plane. So I was exhausted already, and then I didn't sleep all week. But I had a blast. I think that early career small cons are easier to like get face to face with the people that are invested in helping, and it is good because you can show up and say, hey, I'm consistent. You've seen me at a couple of these little cons now. You know that I'm working really hard. I'm trying to do all the right things, and that can be helpful. Dragon Con right now for me is still just a party. Someday I'll be a pro, but I'm not this year, so I'm just gonna go have fun.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I said. There's another thing. There's another aspect to this too, relating to what you said earlier as well, Haley. Is the truth of the matter is, and this is a hill that I will die on. Professionals invest in professionals invest in professional development, right? So I think that there is great utility, especially as a newer author, and some consider me very new still, and so I do take try to take my own advice as well. And I think that I will, if I become a worldwide bestseller, I think I would still do this because professionals invest in professional development, and that is go to pro dev cons. And what I mean by that is a craft con, or even better, like a business con. I'm considering trying out Author Nation for the first time this year. I went to a summit for subscription authors earlier this month, and that was a really great time. Made some really great connections there. Actually met one of the people that I completely adore on the internet, so that was awesome. But I think that in that environment, particularly the business focused environment, you can find people who know a lot of things that you need to know, and who are not all just trying to do the same thing necessarily. And I've made some very valuable networking connections at professional development types, in that professional development type of environment as well.
Yeah. Well, and I initially met Chris Kennedy. Sorry, Marisa, do you want to go?
No, go ahead. It's the Kacey Haley show. I love it.
Oh, hey, I'll stop.
No, I'm not being passive aggressive. I'm being serious.
I originally met Chris Kennedy at Superstars, which both Melissa and Marisa have been there with me the last couple of years, because I met Mark Stallings and Quincy Allen and a couple of other folks. And Chris was there kind of accepting pitches and meeting people, and that was excellent. And then last year I had a handful of small cons, and every single one that I went to last year, I walked away with a new project or a new offer or a new connection. Like I could very clearly, like Malaysian Accords, I can point to Fantasy last year. That is where that happened.
I had exactly the same experience at Fantasy last year. Right? Like I came away with 3 or 4 anthology invites.
Yeah. So it's huge.
Who has not answered this question yet? Shami, have you answered?
I haven't, no.
Okay, go for it.
I vastly prefer larger cons, because what usually happens is that I'm invited to parties or rooms in which there are just lots and lots of people, and it's socially acceptable to mingle with people who you don't know in those types of situations. Because as I already stated, I'm a weird introvert, and in the small cons, everybody's chilling at the bar and everybody already knows each other. And then I walk up and I'm like, hello, I am new here. And everyone's usually friendly. Again, this is all me. Anytime that I talk about this, I'm not like, man, I hate everybody at the bar. I'm like, no, this is just Shami. Everybody's like, hello, join us. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. I know I approached you, but I don't know who any of you are.
I already hate
they're just like, oh no, it's cool. And then I feel weird. Again, this is me. But in Dragon Con or something like this, when there's like a party, when there was that huge fucking party in the aquarium, and I was just there, people would walk up to me sometimes and be like, hey, what are you, who are you? What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm an author. I should be here. It says so on my badge. And they're like, I'm not a cop. So I feel a little bit better in those situations because it is socially acceptable. In small cons, I end up just kind of wandering around being like, okay, Shami, don't look like you don't have a purpose, I have gone to writing conventions that are specifically about improving your craft. And I didn't network at these things. I did find that they helped me in writing a paragraph. It helped me with my paragraph skills. But I didn't make a bunch of friends. Just I improved my craft at these things, and I would recommend people go to them. But if you are weird like me, I would definitely go to a larger con and try to mingle at some of the bigger parties. It was just easier for me to
I
be
love
like,
how
whoa, I know this
counterintuitive
guy.
that sounds.
Well, so that's what I was gonna say is it's really like, I don't think there is a good or bad answer. I think there is a how are you going to be most comfortable? So like for me, it was bring a friend, because I am very extroverted, but I do not do well in large groups of people I don't know. But if I have a friend that I know, then I can talk to just about anybody and go just about anywhere. So it could be a small con, it could be a big con. But if you are starting this off like by yourself, if you have anyone in your network that you can take with you, just to like be a pal, like help. But it's really like, how is your energy gonna best show up? Because I think a couple of us said this earlier on, like when you are comfortable and you are genuinely enjoying yourself, like Melissa was saying, I'm not networking to network. I'm networking because the people around me are fascinating. When you are enjoying doing the things you are doing, it's going to be more natural. You're not just going to be like, hi, I am here and you should talk to me because I wrote a story.
That's literally how I make all my friends, though.
That's how I don't say, hi, I'm here,
read
my story. No, I'm just like, you're my friend now.
Well, that's true. I do that. Yeah. I walk up to people and be like, hi, I'm Casey, and we're friends now.
Very much so. I became a little kid awesomeness of like, hi, you want to be my friend? Yes, this is exactly how my children are friends, and I love this so much.
Yeah. Do you like Cool Rocks? I like Cool Rocks. We're friends now. Okay, great.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. We're friends.
In terms of author networking, like I have carved out a weird little niche for myself in our author community. In particular, I keep messing up my words. I am actually a really extreme introvert, but I fake extroversion really well at conventions. However, I can also notice when the introverts around me are getting like overstimulated. And so I have author friends where if I know they're introverts, I'll say, if you were ever like needing to fake extroversion, just come sit at my table and I will do all the talking and you can just decompress and interesting people will come. You don't have to say anything, just chill, because I know the struggle. And yet these days I actually fake extroversion so well that people do not believe I'm an introvert. But it's like when I finish a con, I have to take 2 weeks of no human interaction whatsoever before I can actually recover from it. But it's a weird little function I have come to serve in our author community. Melissa, did you get to answer this one yet?
Not yet, but okay, side tangent, because that's what we do. The very first panel I was on with Heather was how to marketing or maybe networking for introverts.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And she faked being an extrovert so well. I'm very extroverted, or at least the Air Force taught me to fake it so well. I've literally just changed into an extrovert over the years. But we're on this panel and we somehow accidentally started talking about smut, and we turned the whole panel into
neither of us are allowed on introvert marketing panels anymore.
No, we've been banned, but we also got Heather's raunchy romance panel.
This evolved. Like you've got to tell the full story here. So we were on the introvert panel. This was before my Edie Skye pen name launched. I literally just mentioned that I was starting to write romance, and the audience was like, "Oh!" And then suddenly that conversation happens, and then so next year. Courtney says Jim will never moderate a panel with you guys. Sorry, Jim, if you're watching.
That's fair. I feel like that's fair. Yeah.
Every time we see him, he's like, you.
No.
So that panel happens, and the next year there is a raunchy romance panel or a not safe for work panel.
Not safe for work.
Directly
HP
inspired
Holo's
by our
not safe
hijinks.
for work panel.
And then we come to this year where there is the specifically named HP Holo's not safe for work raunchy romance panel. All of that happened because the two of us derailed I was about to say introverting for marketers.
Introverting for marketing.
Marketing for introverts panel. It was so magic things happen at cons, you guys. Like I can point some of I can trace some of my author success as Edie Skye like back to that panel specifically.
Right?
Yeah.
small cons,
Yeah.
big cons, like they have their advantages. I don't even know what counts as a medium con anymore, but I mean,
Yeah.
there are ways that you can make friends and have great experience, whether it's small or big. And my favorite is BarCon. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it does not matter if you drink or if you just have water, it's fine. Have a Red Bull, have some, a mocha.
Can confirm. Yeah.
Can confirm, yeah.
It doesn't matter. You get to just hang out and relax. The panels are done and you can just have fun.
Yeah.
All right, we're 40 minutes in and we have barely discussed the actual named topic of the panel. So I want to talk about
You're little.
so here we go. The topic specifically came up because all of us lurk in this one specific group chat that we set up, and this group chat has been amazing. And I think most of us are in several different author group chats that are just different communities, and these are usually our particular chat is a Facebook chat, but then there's Discord, there's other stuff, and so my question that I wanted to put forward then is, what are the benefits of author group chats? And because there are lots of ways that you can use them as an author, both professionally and just for fun. So there's tossing ideas around, there's organizing collaborations, there's also like holding each other accountable for actually getting work done. So what are your favorite things about the author groups that you're in? Like, honestly, for hours, I'll just start. I love how fun it is. We don't necessarily talk about writing all the time. But it's just, it's fun to hang out with other authors just in a jokey context.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the professional stuff that comes about, like coordinating panels and meeting up for cons and stuff. But yeah. So
I love, for this particular group chat that you're talking about, that we're all members of, where this panel started, there are two things that I love. I love the way that we sort of started it with the intent of doing this, of like, hey, we're all friends, we all like each other when we meet at cons, let's promote each other's launches and stuff, right? So that's super useful. But the second thing that I actually even like more than that is the like emotional support and the encouragement that we give each other. And I apologize, Shami, if I'm going to embarrass you, but you're like the perfect example of this, because you make these gorgeous little cartoons.
Oh,
the comics, and they're so good. And you're like, I've been playing around with these, and you showed them to us in the group chat, and we all fell out because we were like, those are amazing. I have to start posting those
because of your comment.
And then right. And I don't know if it was because of our encouragement, but in my headcanon, it was because of our encouragement, or at least partially, that you went ahead and started posting those publicly. And from what I've seen, you've gotten such a great response from those.
I'm just living for Shami's memes at this point.
Yeah. Shami's cartoon memes are fire.
Lindsay Burrocker had them on her page the other day. I'm like, oh my god, it's Shami!
Yeah.
You guys are my beta testers. You need to beta test these memes.
No, they were great. And and also, because you're a kind and super talented human being, you made these super cool little chibi like versions of all of us, which I mean, where else am I going to get that but through a connection? Because I am not that talented. I cannot do that.
Probably get it on
but I don't want to go pay somebody. Me, and because of that, I wish I had it available to share on my screen, because the one that you did of me so perfectly captures the vibe that I try. And I'll be real honest with you guys, it is totally intentional that I throw off this I'm a badass vibe. Like, that's part of my author brand, right? And you captured that, and it was perfect, and I love it. And thank you so much, and you're beautiful and amazing.
No problem.
That's how the chat goes.
I really just wanted to practice drawing. I got this thing over here, which is like a drawing tablet. I've never had one in my life. And so I was like, I'll get a tablet and I'll practice drawing. But sometimes, maybe you guys will experience it because you're all just creatives and everybody just wants to create things all the time. But I'm like, okay, well, it's hard to draw something if I don't know what I'm going to draw. I can't just put the pen on the tablet and start drawing something. I'm like, no, I need a goal. I need something. And so when people are like, I'd like a chibi, I'm like, boom, got it. I need to draw a chibi of this person. I need to capture all their features. You know what I'm saying? And then I have something to draw. So I just started doing that, and then when I tested my memes on you guys to be like, hey, does this at least warrant a chuckle, a slight smile, you know? And then people are like, oh,
As
yeah,
you're
thumbs
crying.
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay, perfect. It wasn't an embarrassment. I did it. And then I
I
posted
always
it
get
out
so
there.
excited when I see them pop up in the feed
Uh-huh.
after, because
Oh,
I'm
I
like,
do
oh,
too.
I got early access to this, and now
Yeah.
other people are sharing it.
Me too.
Not everyone can see.
All the smug, as Melissa would say. Yeah.
Like, I am smug.
Nice.
I love it.
Well,
Yeah.
so I run a Discord where we have a writing group, and where every week we submit chapters from our writings and everybody critiques them and then submits them back. And I find that extremely helpful for improving craft, because we also have a night every week that we discuss the chapters we read. And on some of those, some months we vary it back and forth. We read the first chapters of really best-selling books, and then we break down what was really awesome about those chapters and what the writing was in the chapters that really inspired us, or we thought was a great turn of phrase or a great way to describe something or get a lot of information out really quickly. I don't know if you guys have read Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive book, the first one, The Way of Kings. We read that first chapter with the assassin that's there to kill the king. Spoilers, I guess, if people haven't read this book. But that's the
It's a
first fucking
prologue,
chapter,
guys.
so
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
not that many spoilers. But there's an assassin.
Also, isn't it like an old, like it's been out a hot minute,
out a
right?
while.
Yeah, it might have
Yeah.
been, but I just want to warn the audience, I guess, to be like, hey, spoilers for the first chapter. But
Hey, it's called The Way
there's
of
an
Kings,
assassin.
plural. You don't know
Yeah.
which king. You're fine. Go
And-
read it.
He uses magic to go kill the king, and I have always admired the way, as soon as I read it, I say always, but as soon as I read it, I admired how Brandon Sanderson described his basically physics altering magic in just a short couple of paragraphs by showcasing it. The assassin uses it basically to walk on the walls and steal some light, fuck up some dude. Now there was some video game-esque mechanics, because the armor the king wore will shatter after it's hit a certain amount of times, which I was like, okay, well, obviously Brandon Sanderson is a big fan of games, but I liked those short, concise paragraphs of how quickly he got all this information across and how interesting and fun it was, especially because it wasn't just, this is a mage who uses fire and this is a mage who uses lightning. You know, it wasn't like that. It was an interesting, different type of magic that he so concisely described that I was like, my God, I need to be as good as this guy. That's just so good. So I really like a writers group where we talk about stuff like that, because I really, really, really appreciate the craft of writing, at least in fantasy and science fiction, because I know some people are like, what about literary fiction? Don't talk to me about literary fiction. I don't want to talk about literary fiction.
I have a whole
want to
rant.
talk about fantasy and science fiction. So yeah, I really like the craft of those things, and I'm really into that. And I think it's helped me in my career and my own ability to form a paragraph. So I really like that.
I know there are others of you who have Discords and do cool things in them other than chatter. Are there any do any of you also use them for similar analytical purposes like that? I know, Kacey, you have a Discord, don't you?
Yeah, we use
It's a reader Discord though. It's not necessarily an author one, though.
It is a reader Discord. It was intended to be a reader Discord, but the most activity that we have in the Discord lately is we will get on the on one of the voice channels and video chat and run writing sprints in there, and do like co-working in order to leverage that part of our brain that feels that like implied peer pressure of, oh shit, she's working, I guess I shouldn't scroll Facebook, you know.
I wrote 6,000 words in Kacey's channel today.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So the idea of writing sprints just stressed me out. Like I would start writing a sprint with someone, and then just my brain would freeze because of the pressure of needing to produce.
Yeah, and it doesn't work for everyone. And sometimes, honestly, we don't do the sprints. Sometimes we just co-work, you know, where we're just in there and we're both working on whatever, and then we'll pause to chat. You know, it just varies on who's in there and what we're working on and how we feel about it that day. But it has been a useful a useful thing. And actually today, Katie Cross asked us, she was in there working with us, and she asked us if she could introduce one of her author friends in specifically for the purpose of introducing him to the network, because he was, he's, you know, kind of in that sort of isolated situation and didn't really know a lot of people other than her. And she thought that it would be helpful to him to get to know us and to connect with us in that way. So that's kind of cool. You know, that's one of those unlooked for benefits, I guess I would call that.
Yeah.
So.
I think for me, the biggest benefit of author chats and author networking in general is the support. And it's and there's I take a very rising tide lifts all boats approach to supporting other authors. And I feel like it's a very important thing, because there are some authors out there where they tend to view writing as a competition. And tend to not support other authors. And I look at that and it's like, it's not like the average reader is just going to read one book a year. It's like we're all authors are in this together. You know, there's no point in talking down to other authors to try to build yourself up. But one of the things that I just absolutely love about our author chats and the general community that I'm in is that we're all helping each other. And that's really cool. It's just a fun and supportive community to be in. And let's see, we're getting pretty close to wrap up time. But let's see here. I think I've got one more question. Okay. What is the wildest or most exciting thing that's come out of your author networking adventure?
Oh boy.
Meeting you guys.
Yeah, right?
But I mean that almost literally. Meeting you guys, or meeting people who remembered me afterwards. Not that I'm accusing anybody of having poor object permanence, but you know, just that anybody will remember me after meeting me, type of thing. So that's pretty cool, right?
I love how our thing, Shami, has become like, we need to get dessert, and that started. It started because we were like, oh, we were finalists for the Bain Fantasy Adventure Award contest. We should get dessert and celebrate. Now it's become our thing. And I love those like little random connections that you can form. Like Jacob, for instance, he wears a bow tie. And that is literally how I started up a conversation with Jacob and Heather, was like, oh my God, that bow tie is freaking adorable. And I love it.
Yep. The bow tie is excellent it's also really good for making readers comfortable coming up to us too, because you know, again, it's automatic conversation starter. Same thing with my hair. My hair has become something that people associate with me so much that if I show up at a con without purple hair, people notice, and I get comments on it.
Heather, I think just for the record, that makes it a write-off. Just
you know,
my haircut is a write-off. Just ask.
saying.
About that.
Part of the brand.
At this point,
I went to law
wanted
school.
change
You
up
can
my
do
hair
that.
color, and I literally haven't, because it's such a powerful branding visual.
Yeah.
And so I actually kind of want to ask my tax guy about that now.
You should. And let me know, because I also have a ridiculous haircut that I keep up because of cons. So
I will certainly let you know.
Yeah.
So John Osborne here brings up an interesting point. Like, how many anthologies were spawned in chats? I mean,
So many.
Oh my gosh, so many.
What?
I want to say, in answer to my question, the wildest thing that has happened for me in terms of author networking, well, I do credit author networking with being one of the things that propelled me to bestseller status with the Titan Mage series. But one thing that I know we in our little group did is, you know, when the Dragon Awards were coming out, we're like, oh, hey, let's talk about Dragon Award stuff. Let's pick some stuff that we maybe want to recommend. Like tell people what we're going to vote for and whatnot, and spread the word about things that are eligible. And so I said, hey, I've got I've got some books coming out. They've got good book covers, and there's an illustration category now. I mean, just whatever, throw mine in there and we'll see what happens. And Titan Mage 5 got nominated for best book cover last year.
Yeah.
It was before, and I did not expect that to happen. I mean, it's a great book cover, but
it's
a fan voted like award, and it didn't win. But still, to be nominated was a really cool thing, and that happened entirely because both my readers voted, but also the word was spread by author pals of mine, and that was just amazing.
Yeah.
And
Well, and
Yep.
Joelle did like note cards that year.
Web
and
ads
was
and
posting
how
about
many
all of it
and
was
those
awesome.
should not have been spawned in chat.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's probably
Oh,
some crazy
Bill.
ecology ideas that have happened.
Yeah. Haley,
Yeah.
that was a great point though. Like, because Joelle designed those, right?
Yeah, she worked really
Yeah.
hard, and
Oh,
we
yeah.
were chucking those at people's like Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, my little graphic.
Liberty Con.
Which actually reminds
Yeah.
me that I need to share mine this year because I started the conversation months ago and then book releases happened and I forgot. So I need to get on.
Girl, same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
would
Well,
say-
we are.
can we?
Oh.
Are we done? It's okay.
Oh, yeah. We can continue. Sorry, I was my brain was on autopilot for a second there.
You're
So,
good. I
anyone
mean, I
else
know
have
we got
stuff to
that.
add?
I mean, I would just say the wildest thing is my entire career. But like most specifically and most recently, in large part because of networking and friends and, you know, doing the work, but networking, I get to collaborate with David Weber. Like that's freaking insane to me. It is like, it's amazing. And like every day I'm like, oh, shit.
Damn,
A lot
that's
of work.
me.
Yeah.
It's me. I read the first Honor Harrington book I ever read in high school. Like I loved those books for a really long time. So, and that is a pretty direct line from like genuine networking.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was definitely not a goal. It was not a thing that I even knew to think about. So.
Yeah. I think the wildest thing that's ever happened to me because of networking, I'm the mistress of ceremonies at LibertyCon this year. And I can trace that directly to friendships and networking relationships that I've made at LibertyCon, you know? So yeah. Yep.
And, Jeremy makes a good point too. You have to be someone that people want to work with and be talented. That actually
Yes.
makes up brings up a good point about author marketing in general. One thing that I have been told is that whenever I apply to be a guest at a con, I've had several cons tell me that they enjoy having me and Jacob because one, they know that we are going to have fun with all the readers who come to interact with us. And two, we submit all our information on time, like our panel recommendations and bios and things like that. And the thing is, and which is to say, if you're a new author who is wanting to make a good impression at cons, I mean, be a fun person and send your stuff in on time.
Yeah,
and
on
that's
time,
really easy
in
way.
the correct format,
Yeah,
and be professional.
Damn professional.
Within word count, unless you
Within
are
word
snarky and know
count.
the person.
Don't
Yeah.
be a dick. Don't be
Yeah.
a dick. Like rule number one.
Rule number one.
Actually following directions can take a person so far in
So
life.
far.
Yeah.
It's honestly part of not being a dick. Like, and just to say like that, like networking in line and not being a dick and doing the professional thing. When this opportunity came up for me, this most recent one, other folks involved were like, I don't know this Marisa Wolf. Let me ask around. And they made a point to say to me, like, I did not hear a single negative thing about you. Like, people like working with you, you're genuine, like everything you seem to be, you are. And I was like, fuck yeah, like that is my goal. It is exhausting to pretend otherwise. But like, don't be a dick because you never know who you are talking to and who they're going to talk
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's just a tangent on that. Because I am an introvert, I have found success just wildly saying I am, or just being very, very honest right away, immediately being like, hey, if I said something awkward, it's because it was me. Hopefully you'll forgive me. And then most people are at least understanding and have been very accommodating, or they'll laugh because maybe they thought it was a joke. You know what I'm saying? But either way, it works really well. So being honest and genuine is at least, you know, I know that they taught you that in kindergarten, but I think it's really good advice anyway.
It
You should
is.
totally do
It's
it.
fine.
Yeah.
We were talking about authors shouldn't be in competition, but I think I win the awkward award for the night because of my
Because of
camera.
your camera, yeah. It's okay though. You'll remember you and your camera.
But you came right back in, you rocked it.
Yes.
I tried.
Yes, we're glad you made it back.
Yes.
Me too.
All right. Has everyone answered? I lost track. Okay. I think
Melissa,
everyone
did you answer?
I think, well, yeah, kind of, but the wildest thing that I think has happened to me recently was LibertyCon last year. I signed up for the, career counseling with Bill Fawcett. If you don't know Bill Fawcett, he is one of the original directors of DragonCon. He came up with the Dragon Awards. This man has been around for a very long time. He's really knowledgeable, and he knows a lot of people, it's kind of like talking with Ben Yellow, right? He just has all these
master of fandom. That's all you gotta say.
Yeah.
And it was so cool. Like I got to sit down and talk with him, and he just asked like some questions. So where are you at? And I told him like I had 5 novels out at that point. And he's like, what do you think I can do for you? I'm like, I don't know. I just wanted to hang out and say hi. I mean, I'm here. So I got lucky. The next appointment didn't show up. So I got to hang out for a little bit longer, and we started talking military stuff. And he knew at that point that I was friends with Casey Morsey. He's like, you know what? We need to bring in a woman to co-write because of this particular character. So how about you write book 4 of Blood and Honor?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You'll have to come on the show when that comes out.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That was
That
also
is
after
killing it.
he compared her to Anne McCaffrey, BT Dubs.
Right. Yeah.
You know, no big deal here.
I died in that room, y'all. I died, and then I'm like, Marisa, you'll never get me. And then we met. Then we told Todd McCaffrey that at Superstars, like, dang, he was laying it on thick, wasn't he? I snorted laughing really hard. It was great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are at 9:00 on the dot. So this seems like a well-timed place to wrap it up. So I'm going to have everyone, first off, thank you everyone who joined us watching, and thank all of you for coming and sitting on this panel. This was super fun. And before we go, Nick Siverson says.
This is after he called me a bridge troll in the comments, y'all.
Yeah.
That's Nick
The bridge troll thing is getting old. He needs a new insult.
Yeah. Nick, like Haley, is a bit of a sour patch. Like first he's sour, then he's sweet.
He's also
all right, everyone. Well, first off,
That's my author branding. He can't have it.
Go down the line, say who you are, where people can find your stuff, and that will be it for the night. So we'll start with Marisa.
Oh, hi,
Marisa
Wolf.
Sorry. Anyone can go. Fine.
I need to go, so I just
Okay.
want to say I'm Shami, like the car cloth, Shami Stovall. I'm pretty sure you can find my books anywhere they're sold, probably on Amazon. You know, if you like science fiction and fantasy. I need to go. Have fun, peeps. It was really great chatting with you all.
Good to see you.
Beautiful and wonderful. So have a nice night.
Bye.
I love her.
I love her too. She's so awesome. You guys should all go check out her books. They're really, really, really good.
Guys, I got to read her Time Warlock book that's coming out soon. Oh, it is so good. And there's gonna be a werewolf in the second one, so I'm like invested at this point. I'm very excited.
I have not read any of her stuff yet, but one of them is basically described as what Pokemon combined with it's not Harry Potter, is it? It's Pokemon with something, so it's already gotten my attention.
Nightmare Arcanist, it's really good. I liked it.
Isn't it Volcano?
Yeah.
It was a really cool description.
Yeah. I forget the other word, but it's I love it. All right, where are we at? Casey.
Marisa. Oh.
Or I don't even know. Someone go.
Marisa, where can we find your books?
You can go to marisawolf.net or marisawolf.com because I go both ways. You can search for them. Beyond Enemies is my debut solo novel. It came out earlier this year. It is available in many fine bookstores and where books are sold.
All right, HY.
Hi, I'm Haley, H.Y. Gregor. Most of my social is on Facebook. I lurk in Casey's Discord a lot. So if you want to come co-write with me or do whatever, I can often be found there. I'm Sour Patch on Discord. Most of my short stories are up on Amazon. You can get paper copies of my novel there right now. But if you're interested in what I'm working on, I will plug John Osborne and tell you to go check out the Milesian Accords books. My series, you don't have to read his first, but there's a lot of context. There's a lot of Easter eggs. So go check those out, read his books, and then mine will hopefully come out by the end of the year. So,
Nice.
Melissa.
Hey, you can find me at melissaolthoff.net. I'm going to add buying.com to my ever expanding list of things to do, so I too can go both ways. You can find my books at chriskennedypublishing.com. You can find them on Amazon, Salvage Title Universe, and 4HU, and soon Blood and Armor, and maybe something involving griffins. We'll see.
someday. I'm excited.
Someday. I'm Kacey Ezell. You can find me at kaceyezell.net and kaceyezell.com, and you know why. And all of my books, you can find links to all of my books there. You can also find all of my books on Amazon. My latest release is the Companion to Ghosts, which is a 4HU novel that we can't see it, Haley. Haley's got the art on the wall behind her.
It looks like a supernova is happening behind you.
Yeah.
It's very
technical difficulties. We're live.
Yeah. It is a 4HU Companions novel. Think like Noir Taxi Driver meets Galaxy's Deadliest Cat Assassin. Go. And co-written with David Shadoin, who did a really good job with it. And then my current series, my next release will be the third book in this series, which is the Ashes of Antisea series. The Queen's Fixer is the first book. It's out now. Find it on Amazon. Go read it. Love it. It's a lot of fun. It's sad, but awesome. Yeah. I love it. So I hope you will too.
And before I say my stuff, I got a good comment here. Janet says, this was a great topic to hear about tonight. I'm glad there's hope for me as an introvert. If you are an author who is an introvert, I did an author marketing panel earlier this week. It'll be on, I don't think I streamed it to the Bane channel, but on the Holo Writing and Edie Skye channels that I variously am at, there's a lot of content about how to market while being an introvert on there. So if you're an introvert author, go check it out. But anyway, I am Edie Skye /HP Holo. For my HP Holo stuff, you can go to holowriting.com and all my stuff's there as Edie Skye, edieskye.com. I'm also on Twitter and Facebook and TikTok and all the other places. So if you look for me on a place, I am there. But yeah, and my latest is Monster Girl Tamer, co-written with myself. So yeah. But again, thank you everyone. This was a really fun night, and we'll have to do another panel together sometime because this is great. But for now,
Yes.
Bye guys.